If you think silence is weak, you've already lost, because the moment you stop chasing is the moment she starts wondering where you went. Welcome back to Olivia Rose, the space where emotional clarity meets psychological truth. Today's topic, the brutal, empowering, and often misunderstood formula that makes her come back 100%. This isn't about tricks. It's not a manipulation guide. It's a deep shift in energy, a return to your emotional sovereignty. So stay with me until the very end, because missing even one step could cost you everything. Let's get into it. 1. Withdraw emotional access completely. The first and most important step is withdrawing all emotional access. And let's be clear, this doesn't mean ghosting her out of spite. It means you stop giving her what she used to take for granted, your emotional energy. Most men don't realize how much of their power they give away by simply being too available. Constant texts, liking her posts, reacting to every update, all of it communicates one thing: you still have full access to me even though you walked away. When a woman pulls back or cuts you off, it's instinctual for a man to chase, not because he's weak, but because he hasn't yet learned how valuable emotional mystery is. But chasing is exactly what kills that mystery. The more visible and reactive you are, the less she feels your absence. The less she feels your absence, the less she thinks about you. And if she's not thinking about you, she's certainly not missing you. Emotional access is a form of currency. And just like any currency, when you oversupply it, its value drops. She knows you're there. She expects your good morning texts. She knows you'll watch her story and comment within minutes. There's no tension, no curiosity, no pull. But what happens when you stop? When you don't respond? When you don't reach out? When you stop giving her the emotional reassurance she once expected? She starts to feel the void. At first, it might be confusion, then irritation, then curiosity. That's the moment the dynamic starts shifting. She starts asking questions in her own mind. Why is he so quiet? Has he moved on? Did he meet someone else? These questions don't arise when you're constantly in her notifications. Remember, emotional withdrawal isn't coldness, it's discipline. You're not reacting out of anger, you're reclaiming your focus and respect. You're no longer giving away what hasn't been earned. And here's the truth. Women expect you to break, to fold, to come crawling back with an explanation. When you don't, you flip the script completely. Your silence becomes louder than words. Your restraint becomes power. And that, more than anything, becomes the first signal that you've become a man she can't control, and therefore a man she starts desiring again. 2. Master your calm, unshakable presence. After withdrawing emotional access, the second move is to master your presence. And this isn't about being stoic on the outside while panicking on the inside. This is about truly embodying calm strength, the kind that can't be shaken by someone else's chaos. You see, most women are used to men reacting emotionally. When they pull away, the average guy spirals. He becomes desperate, needy, or vengeful. He texts more, calls more, tries harder. He hopes that by proving his devotion, she'll change her mind. But in reality, all she sees is a man who's emotionally unstable, whose confidence crumbles at the first sign of distance. But when you respond to her silence with stillness, when you respond to her withdrawal with composure, that's when she begins to see you differently. This presence isn't about arrogance or pretending not to care. It's about being deeply rooted in who you are. It's the confidence that says, I am still me, with or without your attention. That kind of energy can't be faked. It's felt. And it makes a woman pause. Because here's the secret. Women are emotionally intuitive. They can read your energy before you say a word. If you're faking calm but seething inside, they'll feel it. If you're pretending to move on while obsessing over her in private, they'll know. But if you've truly grounded yourself, if your world is no longer orbiting around her, she'll feel that too. And that shift, that's magnetic. The calm man doesn't chase, he observes, he moves with purpose, he isn't reactive, he's responsive, intentional, he listens more than he speaks, he doesn't flinch when tested, he doesn't explain himself when silence is more powerful. Women are drawn to men like this not because they're emotionally cold, but because they are emotionally sovereign. They don't need validation. They don't crumble under pressure. And in a world full of emotionally unstable men, calm becomes rare, and rare becomes valuable. So while others are panicking, over-texting, and begging for attention, you're focused, unbothered, intentional. And that's when your presence becomes a statement she can't ignore. 3. Redirect your energy toward your growth. Now that you've stopped pouring energy into her, where does it go? That's where most men mess up. They either wallow in silence or pretend to be over her while secretly stalking her profile at 2 a.m. But here's the truth. The energy you were giving her has to be redirected somewhere, and if you don't channel it intentionally, it will consume you. So what do? You build. You build your body, your mind, your mission. You take every ounce of emotional obsession and alchemize it into fuel. You get stronger, sharper, and more dangerous. Not to win her back, but to reclaim yourself. Start simple. Hit the gym even when you don't feel like it. Read books, not for entertainment, but for elevation. Learn something new, a skill, a business, a discipline, and commit to mastering it. This is how you make her absence irrelevant. You replace obsession with construction. You stop being a man who waits and become a man who moves. And something wild happens when you do this. She notices. Maybe not right away, maybe not directly, but somehow, through the grapevine, mutual friends, or simply the energetic shift, she senses that something about you is different. You're no longer stagnant, you're evolving, and that evolution, that scares her, because now she's no longer sure if you'll still be there when she looks back. Redirecting your energy doesn't just rebuild your life, it rebuilds your image in her mind. You go from the man who broke down to the man who broke through. 4. Let silence speak louder than explanation. Silence is not passive, it's not surrender, it's not weakness. Silence is a power move, a conscious, deliberate act that says, I do not explain myself to someone who walked away. You might be tempted to reach out, to clarify, to send that one last message, but don't. Not because you're bitter, but because you're better than that. Every word you say while she's gone, every paragraph, every apology cheapens your value, because the truth is, she's not listening. She's not ready to receive your words, and even if she were, the fact that you felt the need to explain shows her one thing. She still controls you emotionally. Silence, on the other hand, is unarguable. It can't be twisted, it can't be debated, it just is. And here's the magic of it. Silence creates discomfort. It breaks the rhythm. She expects drama. She expects you to fight. But when she gets silence instead, her mind starts working overtime. Is he done with me? Has he moved on? Did he stop caring? That uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates attraction. So let her sit in it. Don't post cryptic stories. Don't respond to her breadcrumb texts. Don't try to be clever. Just be gone, silently, calmly, consistently. The man who chooses silence isn't running away, he's rising, and she'll feel it deeper than any "I miss you" text ever could. 5. Make her feel the gap. Don't rush to fill it. Most men, when faced with silence or distance from a woman, panic. They interpret space as a threat, as something that must be corrected immediately, and so they try to fill the gap with texts, with check-ins, with efforts to fix what went wrong. But what they don't realize is that the very act of rushing to fill the space communicates one loud message: I can't survive without you. And that message? It's the death of desire. Here's what women feel when they walk away. They're not only observing how you react, they're calculating your self-worth. They want to see whether your identity crumbles without them. So when you try to rush in to patch up the silence, you're signaling emotional dependence, and dependence repels attraction. But what if, instead of closing the gap, you let her feel it? When you don't chase, and when you don't react, when you allow the space to stretch just a little too long, she begins to feel something she didn't expect. Absence. Your absence. She starts realizing what you brought into her life. Your energy, your attention, your validation, your calm presence, it's gone. And human nature hates a vacuum. The mind craves answers. The heart craves familiarity. And now she's stuck with a version of herself that no longer has you in the picture. That's when curiosity sets in. Then discomfort, then regret, but none of that happens if you rush in too soon. If you message to check up on her or try to play it cool, you rob her of the very opportunity to miss you. You save her from the consequences of walking away. And the hard truth is, she needs to feel those consequences. So give her the gift of space. Let her feel the void you once filled, not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. Don't be the man who rushes to close emotional gaps. Be the man who understands that true value is felt in absence, because the man who can remain silent, calm, and unavailable while she reflects is the man who becomes unforgettable. 6. Let time create curiosity, not your words. There's a reason silence paired with time is one of the most powerful psychological tools in human relationships, because the longer you say nothing, the louder your silence becomes. And the longer you give her space, the more her mind starts to wander. Curiosity doesn't grow in conversation. It grows in silence. It grows in the unknown. See, most men try to speed up the process. They want resolution. now. They want answers now. But that need for instant clarity kills the very dynamic that could have brought her back. You can't force someone to miss you, but you can let time do what no amount of persuasion ever could. When you go silent and stay silent, for real, her mind begins to work. She starts thinking about what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not reaching out. At first it's mild. Maybe she shrugs it off. Maybe she tells herself, he'll be back. But then days pass, weeks, and still nothing. Now she's not just wondering, she's questioning her choices. She's remembering the little things, the conversations, the way you made her feel safe, the way your presence stabilized her chaos. And the irony? It's not the words you said that brought her back, it's the words you didn't. You weren't trying to convince her. You weren't arguing your worth. You weren't begging to be seen. You were simply silent, confident, unmoved. That's when she starts checking your profile, rereading your messages, asking mutual friends about you, all because you gave time enough room to build curiosity. And here's the thing, curiosity is powerful because it's internal. It wasn't planted by you. It sprouted from within her. Letting time work doesn't mean you wait around doing nothing. It means you keep moving, keep growing, keep evolving. And while you're building your life, she's watching, wondering, and eventually missing. 7. Reinvent yourself. Without her watching. One of the most attractive things a man can do after a breakup or a period of distance is reinvent himself in silence, not in a loud, flashy, look at me kind of way, not through Instagram thirst traps or cryptic quotes, but through real internal evolution, done without an audience. You stop making her the center of your thoughts and you start building the version of you that she never got to meet. That means hitting the gym not for revenge, but for discipline. Reading not to look smart, but to be smart. Grinding on your business, your passion, your goals, not for status, but for purpose. This reinvention isn't about her at all. It's about you remembering who you were before you made her your world. Most men stagnate after heartbreak. They get stuck, obsessing over what she's doing, who she's with, or whether she still thinks about them. But the men who truly transform, they disappear from her view and come back unrecognizable, not by force, but by focused evolution. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to send progress updates. You just live it quietly, powerfully. And here's the kicker. When she sees the new you, whether in 2 months or 2 years, she won't be able to unsee it. Because now you're no longer the man she left. You're the man she underestimated. And that kind of realization, that's what breaks her ego and opens the door to attraction again. 8. Walk away with dignity and mean it. Let's end with this truth. The most powerful move isn't walking away. It's walking away and never looking back, unless she rises too. Walking away with dignity isn't about being heartless. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you refuse to be half-loved. It's saying, if you want to go, go. Not as a threat, not as manipulation, but as an embodiment of true emotional maturity. Most women leave expecting you to fall apart, to chase, to lose yourself trying to prove something. But when you walk away calmly, with no drama, with no performance, that's when she feels it the most. You're no longer playing tug of war, you're not in the arena, you've already left the building. And when she turns around expecting to see you still waiting, and you're not, that's the moment she realizes she lost something irreplaceable. A man who can walk away with peace, without resentment, and without seeking revenge is a man who understands his value. And that kind of man? He doesn't have to chase. She comes back. Or she doesn't. Either way, he wins, because he walked away not to get a reaction, but to return to himself. She will come back, not because you begged, not because you proved anything, but because you stopped being available to be taken for granted. You withdrew your energy, you built yourself up, you embraced the silence, and you let time do what words never could. This isn't a game, this is emotional sovereignty. You've stopped fighting for someone else and started fighting for yourself, and that's exactly when she starts fighting for you.